Have you ever tried coming back to drawing after feeling burned out? Or wondered if keeping a sketchbook could actually change the way you see life? Well, this sketchbook right here, it's an old journal from 1997. At that time, I didn't know it, but something in me had started to break away and something else was waking up. If you ever needed a fresh start or just wondered where to begin, maybe what's in here can help. So let's have a look. This journal runs from January to March of 1997. I was 22 years old, still in art school. This starts with a quote from Heraclitus. All the things that we perceive through the senses are in constant flux and change. And yeah, no kidding. After all this time, I look back at this journal. It was all constant change. What came next was a self-portrait with a note to myself in Spanish. Conócete a ti mismo. Know thyself. Still the best creative advice I've ever stolen from the ancients. To this day, I still draw a self-portrait every January, either on the first day of the year or on my birthday. It's not vanity, it's calibration, like checking the oil of an old truck, keeping me honest about where the mileage is accumulated. It's become a ritual. These sketches aren't pretty. They wobble, smudge, and sometimes they just quit halfway across the page. But they're honest, and honesty, in my book, at least for me, beats flawless any day of the week. These early spreads are roommates half asleep, the junk in my studio desk, a busted oscillating fan I've never fixed, even laundromats. No fancy pens, no expensive materials, just plain and simple. Straight to the page with just these very accessible ballpoint pens. In this journal, I was brutally hard on myself. Looking back now, some of the drawings aren't that bad, but at the time, I didn't feel good enough. Back then, I was still in art school in San Juan, Puerto Rico, but something was changing. I wasn't just drawing anymore. I was writing a lot. These pages were starting to look more like actual diaries, full of personal thoughts, frustrations, dreams, doubts. I'd been burned out at the end of 1996. This was the comeback. I also wrote a quote while waiting in the laundry. The most important colors in a painting are the ones that you don't see. Just like in a drawing, the most important lines are the ones that are invisible. In other words, less is more. That one still hits me. I still think about that, and I try to go back to that and make sense of it with my current work. I was still experimenting with different media. Ballpoint pen, pastels, and charcoal. Oil pastels, scratch board, but something was happening. As I started painting, my drawings started to look more like my paintings, and vice versa. I was starting to rebel against what I was being taught because I knew something was missing. That's when I met Cervoni, a traditional painter with roots in 1930s Europe. One of the original founders of the school I was attending. He became my mentor, or my personal Obi-Wan Kenobi, if you will. We didn't always agree, but his words stuck with me. I wrote a few of his quotes in this journal. If you can't represent what you see, much less what you think or feel. No one can decompose a composition which he does not know. He was blunt, wise, and sometimes infuriating. Sure, I didn't agree with everything, but he encouraged me, and that mattered. He gave me the classical foundation. Well, sort of. It was a more modern. It was that foundational drawing, painting skills I was not getting at school. And let's talk about the school for a moment. It felt like anyone who talked a lot or posed as an artist got ahead, while the rest of us quietly doing the work got overlooked. The movie Art School Confidential? Yeah, that was my school, almost frame by frame. So by this time, a travel bug bit me hard. I started to dream about going to Europe, seeing the great masters in person. At first, I tried the safe route, signing up for one of those guided student art tours of Europe. You know the drill, 15 kids in matching t-shirts herded through the Louvre at warp speed. Within the week, the head count dropped down to 5 of us. And by the time the deposit was due, it was just me, a rail pass, and a Let's Go to Europe guidebook. And you know what? Going solo perhaps was the best thing that happened to me. I learned so much from that trip.
Funny thing is, I've never felt more surrounded. Roommates crashing on mattresses, classmates debating theory. But inside, I was basically a one-man expedition crew.
I even wrote out plans for my new body of work, combining religious iconography with modern themes, intentional anachronisms, blending past and present. Sounds familiar? Well, for me it does. It's what I eventually ended up doing 10 years later when I did my master's thesis. And this journal also marked the beginning of my social critique. I started writing about consumerism, image obsession, celebrity worship. This was before social media. We didn't even have the internet in our homes yet. I was questioning everything, society, art, and my role in it. I was full of insecurities, unsure if any of it mattered. I wrote, what's the point of making art in a world that doesn't care about art? But I also wrote, take the risk, live in loneliness, live at a distance from everything around you. That's kind of like thinking like a hermit. And if you really want to do something, you'll do it. Not because of the money, but because of conviction. I was young, naive, flawed, but something was planted in these pages. Something that would grow into the work I do now, nearly 25 years later. And in the very last page, I drew myself next to my pager. Yeah, that was cutting edge tech at the time. Reminder that tools change, intentions don't. The point is showing up, scribbling, observing, repeating. Heraclitus was right. Everything flows, everything changes. But some things remain. Some things leave a mark. So what archetype captures all of this? All the searching, the solitude, the questioning, the quiet determination. For me, it's clear. It's the hermit. The hermit is not just a symbol of retreat. He's a seeker. The one who walks away, not to escape, but to understand.
The hermit has cousins, St. Anthony Abbot wandering the Egyptian desert, Saturn or Kronos, slow-moving ruler of time, the classic hooded sage on every fantasy book cover. They all preach the same dirty little secret. Stillness is a superpower. St. Anthony fought inner demons by sitting with them until they had nothing left to scream. Saturn teaches patience, the long game, the harvest that only comes after pruning. Kronos reminds us that the clock is always ticking, so focus counts. And here's the thing, you don't have to flee to a cave to meet this energy. We all carry a pocket-sized sage within us. You channel it every time you sit in front of a blank page. Let the noise drop and draw exactly what's in front of you, crooked lines and all. Treat the page like a mini desert hermitage. 10 quiet minutes, one honest observation. No hashtags required. This is not for Instagram. This is for your own personal growth. Keep it private. Keep it for yourself. Meditation, patience, focused attention. Those aren't distractions from art. They're the furnace where art gets forged. So while this sketchbook ends with the hermit, the archetype keeps walking with us. Next time you feel rushed, borrow his lantern. Slow down. Look closer. And let the line reveal what the noise was hiding.
I didn't have a lantern like the hermit. What I had was this sketchbook. A pen, a page, and the will to just keep going. And that was enough. In the silence of drawing, I found something deeper than approval. I found focus. Yes, frustration, but also patience. I look at this sketchbook and I say, wow, I had no idea what I was doing, but I kept going, and that's what matters. If you're stuck, unsure, or feeling lost in your creative path, just remember, it's okay. Keep drawing, keep writing, keep questioning. Just keep showing up. And that's how you begin to know yourself. I chose to end this with the hermit, not because I felt enlightened, but because I was learning to value silence. There's a kind of wisdom that only comes when you step back, when you stop trying to prove yourself and just pay attention. I used to think inspiration had to come from something grand, some big idea or artistic breakthrough. Sometimes it's just a broken fan, a laundromat, or a roommate asleep in the corner of the room.
It's the fleeting moments, the small things that we often overlook.
Drawing can be a kind of prayer, not a loud one, not a showy one, but a quiet, repetitive act of devotion. The Hermit reminds us that the smallest observations, when seen with attention, can hold the biggest truth. In this journal, I didn't draw because I was inspired. I drew because I needed to keep going, and that made all the difference. People talk about finding your voice. The Hermit teaches you that your voice isn't out there. It's in here, in the quiet, in the lines you keep drawing when no one's watching. What I love about this archetype is that it doesn't ask for applause. It just keeps walking, one step, one page, one honest line at a time. So if you're in the season of doubt or uncertainty, maybe what you need isn't more noise, more tools. Maybe what you need is just a pen or a pencil and a sketchbook, and some time to listen. Devotion doesn't mean drawing perfectly. It just means you return to the page with presence. So if you're sketching right now or thinking about restarting after a hiatus, don't chase perfection. Chase presence. A date in the corner, honest notes in the margin, whatever tools within reach. That's how seeds get planted. We'll see what grows. And there you have it. That's what I've got for you today. So let me know where you are in your creative path. If you want to see more videos like this, I'll keep sharing my journals. And as I always say, may the gods, angels, muses, or whatever you want to call these timeless cosmic archetypes be your guides and inspiration. Till next time, peace. Thank you very much for watching this video until the very end. If you like this video, make sure that you hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.